Obviously, you're watching this video because you're interested in creating that traditional style garden at home. So in this video, I'm going to give you a lot of tips and tricks to make that happen. My name is Amy and I help home gardeners design landscapes that are uniquely you through courses, books, and lots of information on this YouTube channel and on my website. And if you're looking to design a 4-season landscape that's uniquely you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and also check out all of the links to resources I have in the description below. Okay, so if you're looking to get that traditional garden style at home, here are some of my favorite tips to accomplishing that. The first is to use symmetry to your advantage. You don't have to do asymmetrical balancing or anything complicated like that. Just mimic what you put on one side of a pathway on the other side and keep things very symmetrical. You can do this very easily by repetition of the plants that you're choosing and just repeating them on either side of the property or the path or whatever area that you're working on. My next tip is to use straight lines, straight paths, and bold geometric forms. So while not everything has to be straight lined, and you can add a circular patio at the end of a straight path, but generally in traditional style gardens, you'll see a lot of straight lines in this type of design. And for bold geometric forms, things like topiaries that you're sculpting or hedgerows that are trimmed into a nice straight row is a really great thing to add to that traditional style. Anything with a really bold shape or form to create a focal point is a really great idea in that traditional style garden. So in traditional style hardscaping, you're going to want to go more on the smooth and sleek end of the scale rather than very rustic and lumpy bumpy like you'd see in a naturalistic garden. A lot of man-made pavers are really great for this. Paver stones with like a little bit of texture on them, or maybe something with different pattern in it. So you get like larger stones and then there's some smaller ones that you can mix in. So it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical and smooth as far as the actual paving that you use, but something with an actual pattern that all kind of matches is really useful in this style to make the hardscaping really mimic that look that you're going for in the traditional style. Traditional style landscapes also incorporate like swaths of green manicured lawns, and I know that the way that the gardening world is changing, this can be a little bit difficult to achieve if you're more into planting native and using less chemicals and things. The truth is that traditional style gardens were for rich people, and they would show that they were rich by having these people maintaining their lawns and making the lawns green and watering, and that's something that the lower class wasn't able to do, so it was a show of status. You don't have to do this today. You can choose an alternative like a native grass or a clover or a moss or something. So just try to incorporate swaths of green or another color that aren't very busy. So you can have a planting but then leave open space to rest the eye, if that makes sense. It doesn't have to be grass, but that's the best example I can think of is just an open lawn that separates different planting bed areas. You can do that in any way that you choose to kind of achieve that style without having to deal with the manicured lawn that's expensive and not very eco-friendly at this point. And I think the hardest part about traditional style gardens is to minimize your color palette. If you add too many colors and use too many different types of plants, you're going to trend more towards a cottage style garden, and you don't really want that if you're going for that real traditional look. So it's not that you can't have any color in a traditional style garden, but you do have to limit your color palette and the amount of plants that you're using. So it's more towards the modern side of the scale, and that means limit the palette. I like to use white in traditional style gardens, so use a bright color or some color that you really love, and then combined with the greens of the foliage of most of the plants along with white blooming plants. That's usually a really solid color scheme for a traditional style garden. It's not the only color scheme, but limiting that color palette to just maybe 3 colors if you want to get this style and really nail it at home. I just wanted to point out that you don't need to be constrained to one particular garden style. That's sort of a myth that's floating around the internet. So what I encourage you to do is to take the pieces of the garden style that you like, and you can mix and match them with different styles. The only thing that I'd give you as a word of advice is to make sure that you're not doing too much too fast. Like, don't try to incorporate a million pieces of cottage garden with different parts of modern and contemporary. Just do a little at a time and add to it to make your garden unique and have your personality shine. So if you like this video, I'd love for you to check out my garden style mood board workshop. It takes you through the process that I use to build upon these different garden styles and make them more personal and unique to what you want in your own garden. And I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Otherwise, check out some of the other videos I have on different garden styles. I'll leave a link to the playlist right here, and I'll see you over in the next video.